Hey everyone! So today we're jumping into a really powerful concept from Subbu Sangamaswar's book, The Space Between Knowing. We're going to explore that tricky moment when positive thinking, our go-to tool for everything, actually starts to work against us. And this quote right here, this is where it all starts. It just perfectly nails the whole idea. I mean, we're always told to look on the bright side, right? But what happens when that's not just advice anymore, but a demand? When does that hope start to feel, well, heavy? To really get to the heart of this, the book tells us the story of a guy named Avi. And his journey is going to be our guide through this whole thing. It's what makes this big idea feel so incredibly real. So the story kicks off with a moment I think a lot of us dread. It's just a normal Wednesday, he has a 12-minute meeting, and boom. Just like that, his entire life gets turned upside down before he's even had lunch. It's so sudden, so disorienting, and it's the ultimate test for his entire mindset. Now check out his immediate reaction. There's no panic. Instead, he reaches right for that tool he's been taught to trust, positive thinking. He decides this isn't a disaster. No. He reframes it as a larger alignment. And he gets to work on it immediately, rolls out the yoga mat, sits down, and just starts repeating his affirmations. You see, he's not just hoping for the best here. He is actively trying to will a new reality into being, putting all of his faith into the sheer power of his thoughts. And this timeline, it really shows you his commitment. This goes on for weeks, then it turns into months. He is all in. He's meditating every single day. He starts avoiding friends who he thinks are too anxious. Every job interview that doesn't work out, that's just a redirection. And even as his bank account is getting smaller and smaller, he keeps talking about abundance, totally convinced that his energy is the only thing that matters. But this is where the story takes a turn. Because this is that critical point where Avi's whole framework, this fortress of positivity he's built, starts to show some serious cracks under the weight of his actual life. So he meets up with his old mentor, Reina, and she just hits him with this line. She tells him, your vision is beautiful, but it's like having a compass without a map. And this isn't just a piece of advice. It's a fundamental challenge to his whole strategy. It's saying, hey, faith needs action, not just belief. That night, he's doing his affirmations. The right opportunity is on its way. And then, for the very first time, this tiny little thought just slips in. What if it isn't? And that's it. That's the first real crack in the armor, a question he can't just positively think his way out of. And this right here, this is the real gut punch. His anxiety isn't just about being out of a job anymore. Now there's a second, much deeper feeling of failure. The pressure to be positive has become another thing he's not succeeding at. He's now failing at feeling the right way about failing. And the author actually gives this a name, defining it for us right here. Failing at optimism. It's that moment when the pressure to stay positive makes normal human feelings, like anxiety or doubt or sadness, feel like they're not just feelings, but a personal moral flaw, like you're the problem. Okay, so let's zoom out from Avi's story for a second. The book uses his experience to talk about a much bigger issue, our culture's obsession with positivity, where believing isn't just a good idea, it's pretty much mandatory. And you can see the quiet, kind of cruel logic here. This forced positivity basically says that if you're anxious or sad or stuck, the problem isn't your circumstances, it's you. You're not trusting the universe, you're holding on to limiting beliefs. It takes the idea of personal responsibility and twists it into self-blame. It just doesn't have much room for the messiness of being human. I love this line because, haven't we all felt this? That constant need to police your own thoughts, to correct your feelings, to manage your mindset. It just gets exhausting. It stops being a source of hope and it becomes a chore, just one more thing on your to-do list that you have to get right. So, if this compulsory optimism is the problem, then what do we do? Well, the book doesn't just leave us there. It offers up a new way of looking at things, a healthier, more resilient path forward that doesn't ask us to give up on hope, but to maybe just unburden it. This quote just draws such a perfect line in the sand. There's a massive difference between a gentle hope that things will work out and this rigid insistence that they have to. One is flexible, it can breathe, it can live alongside uncertainty. The other is at war with reality, and it's going to break eventually. And this comparison here just lays it all out so clearly. Compulsory optimism, It's like a demanding supervisor, always looking over your shoulder, demanding belief, fighting with reality. But unburdened hope is something totally different. It's more like a quiet companion. It doesn't need certainty. In fact, it allows for uncertainty. It makes room for life as it actually is, not just as we demand it to be. And this is the author's big takeaway, and I think it's maybe the most important piece of this puzzle. The point isn't to become a pessimist, not at all. It's about becoming honest. It's about giving yourself permission to just say, wow, this is really hard, without feeling like you have to immediately fix or reframe that feeling. It's about being true to what you're actually going through. So what does this actually look like in practice? It's about shifting your relationship with your own thoughts. First, just respond honestly to whatever is happening. Second, let hope show up when it wants to, not because you're forcing it to. And third, treat your doubt not as proof that you're failing, but just as information, something to listen to. Which brings us to this final, really powerful question to leave you with. Just think about it for a second. What would change in your life? What pressure would finally lift if your hope could just be a companion walking with you instead of something you're forcing to drag you kicking and screaming to the finish line?